Hey guys, Owen here. Welcome to Drink with Owen. Today we're chatting with Scott Davis. That's Davis without the E, D-A-V-I-S, spelled incorrectly, but we won't hold it against him because he's a good guy and he's probably watching this, to be fair. We chat about what he got up to in his uni days and we drink a bit of Bundaberg Rum and he tells us why it is the best drink ever. So let's get to it. Roll the tape.
Hello.
Hello, Scott. How are you, mate? Welcome to Drink with Owen. How's it going?
Good, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, good. So just tell us where in the world you are and just a quick of how we know each other, or who you are, I guess.
Stuck here in quarantine in Melbourne.
Melbourne, a lovely place.
Melbourne, lovely. In spite of what it looks like outside, it's not really a jungle out there.
It looks like a bit of a canvas or some sort of green screen.
That is actually a garden outside in Melbourne, which is a bit crazy.
Yeah, classic. All right, well, let's get stuck into it. So what are we drinking today, mate?
We are drinking some beautiful Queenslander Bundaberg Rum.
Yeah, that's the same one, same can?
That's it.
I haven't really, I think I might have had it back in the day. You know, it was one of those drinks that if you go to a house party, you'd be floating around in an esky somewhere. So you would, you would swipe one, chuck it straight in the stubby holder so no one knows who's stolen it. But the smell is very distinct. It's bringing back lots of memories.
That's the real stuff. That's the real stuff, mate.
So why did you choose this?
This is what we used to call mother's milk when we were back up there. It is
that's North Queensland, is it?
Go-to drink of North Queensland. That's it. Yep, where I'm from originally, from Cairns, from North Queensland, and it is the default basically.
Has it sort of made it like around the world? Not made it around the world, but like.
Nah, not really. I mean, it definitely has a reputation as a fighting drink, although it's very much of a bogan drink. That's for sure. The seriously huge amounts of sugar that must be in every single can. It's pretty crazy. But I take it with me. All the different variations. The rum and dry is pretty good as well.
So that's obviously what you love drinking now. Do you remember what your first drink was? What was it that you remember fondly or unfondly?
First drink? Well, not too fondly, actually. But I would have to have been about 7 or 8. I'm just judging by the house that I can remember we were in at the time. And I would steal a drink of Dad's 4X from the fridge. I'd get one for him and one for me. I can't say it was like actually drinking. Like it was just, stealing a bit of Dad's drink and to be beer. And that would have to be about 7 or 8. I don't drink the stuff. 4X bitters, just no, not that much. Not that fighting juice is that much better, but
I thought they go hand in hand together, don't they? So you don't drink that anymore. What do you drink at the pub now when you're going out for a nice? Maybe
going out for nice
dinner or like a solid session. Do you have different ones, or what's the vibe?
Oh, definitely. If I'm going on a easy night, probably the actual alcoholic ginger beers. There's some really good ones of those. I like them over beer if I have the choice. Brookvale Union or even the Rusty Yak has a pretty good version. So but I can have an easy night on those, and come out the next morning and be pretty good. If I'm going out for a session, it's definitely rum and coke, but not this version. Might be actual rum and coke in the glass, or Sailor Jerry's. If you're going top shelf, a bit of Kraken. So depends who's paying or how drunk I am.
Yeah, because you do. Have you got? I think everyone sort of thinks about one expensive round they bought. Well, not everyone. Maybe it's just me, and I'm just sort of making this a thing. But do you remember sometime when you bought an outrageously expensive round, or something you really regretted the next day?
I woke up the next morning to a very emptied bank account sometime last year, I think it was, and it may even been something you were at, but over at Hats and Tats. And I went back looking at what I had spent it on, and there was $178 in one go, which for Hats and Tats is actually really pushing it. And after checking with a few other people, it turned out I'd bought tequilas for pretty much everybody who was there at the time, tequila shots. And that was probably the most recent big spender. I've had friends who got drunk in Singapore. That can be pretty awful to your bank account.
Yeah, I remember I was there quite a few years ago, and it was like $16 a pint of beer or something.
Yeah.
And that, like, sadly, that's not that much expensive compared to Melbourne now. But I remember even just a few years ago, that was like, wow.
That was a big deal, yeah.
Mate, get me another pint. I need something.
Yeah, it's about where you go, and if you're hitting the tourist spots, you're going to get hammered. Friends of mine were so drunk and got so much that their bank tried to contact them for suspicious transactions. They were spending so much at bars in Singapore. Just a night.
Send us your details. I'll send you some money for your troubles. I'll buy you a drink. That reminds me of with you one that always comes to mind. I mean, we went out. I just got a little contract job, so we thought we'd celebrate by wasting all our money. We went out in Richmond. We went to, I think it was a Paran hotel or something. We'll go for 1 or 2 pints. 3 or 4 pints later, we strolled up to Lucky Cock, and then other people came, and it was just like, oh, well, let's invite them down. What are you guys doing? And people were like, oh, are you doing something? Like, oh, we just come out for a pint after work. They're like, it's like 9:30, it's 10 o'clock. Yeah, come down. And it was your birthday, I believe, a couple of weeks later. And you had the great idea of starting a group chat you made an event, that's right, with every single one of your friends on Facebook, every single one. And you booked the function room at the Lucky Cock there and then, and probably 1 o'clock in the morning, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah. I'm pretty sure I booked it there and then. Yep.
And I swear you remember you saying to me, like, oh, do you remember me booking the Lucky Cock function? I was like, yeah, mate, I was probably the one that said to do it.
Yeah, I'm surprisingly functional when I'm very, very drunk. I think I've bought multiple domain names and even set them up while drunk.
I'll put one down here. I'll pop a couple down here. They can pop up.
Yep. That I've bought while drunk. I've definitely never forgotten my PIN while drunk. I still managed to do that. I've managed to break through various locks that the sober version of me puts around phone numbers in my own phone. So, yeah, drunk me's pretty functional, disturbingly functional, and really borderline criminally generous in the sense that I will just spend money while drunk in order to keep the night going.
Good laugh.
Anybody yeah. There's certainly some people who've woken up the next morning and gone, yeah, that was a bit too much. You were a bit stupid. And I've gone, yeah, that was almost
never me, Scott. I would never even
almost a crime
doing anything like that to you. I'd be like, let's go out tonight again and do it again. We're in lockdown, staying safe, staying in our lovely homes here. How are you coping with it? I guess nothing too deep, but just give us a quick rundown of how it's sort of changing what you're doing.
Oh, it runs hot and cold. Yeah, I'm still working from home. I think that's actually been the hardest thing, is that there's no difference between those two states sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, just getting up, going and sitting on the computer and doing work or doing play, but that's basically all there is, you know, and not escaping. I'm one that I don't mind that Google's tracking my every move, and I use it for some of the location histories. I usually have a location. My job takes me flying all around Australia and sometimes New Zealand. My location history has shrunk all the way down to some horrific little couple of blocks between my place and the shops, and that's about it. It's kind of hard feeling contained all this time and just wanting to get out, but you got to get through it. And so
playing your games, saving lots of money. I guess it's not all bad.
Well, that's it. I'm not actually spending, hundreds of dollars each weekend down at the pub on drinks and for all my friends. So yeah, I'm sure.
I think the good thing is that everyone's doing it. I guess like everyone's in the same boat. Yeah. Not everyone, but most people. Because most people are. I've worked from home for the last couple of years, and it's tough. Like I've said to you guys, like you just. For a while, like I was sort of on my own all the time. You get bored. There's no one to talk to, and then my parents would get home from work, or my roommate now, and all I'd want to do is just like talk to them, and then they're coming home from work and just want to switch off. So you'd be sort of opposite, which I found was a big sort of struggle. But I find
that was the same thing with my husband. Phil was working from home for quite a few years, and that'll be the same thing for him. Any human contact outside of the work was the really big exciting stuff, and I've spent a day talking to people and don't want to talk to anybody at all. So now I know what it's like. He's kind of pointing and laughing at all of us complaining about it and going,
mate, get over it. I'm like, come on, at least you got.
I did it for years.
Living from home all the time and having no money coming in. Now, Scotty, you're an old wise man. Have you got any classic night out stories for us? You're old.
Well, the crazy thing is a lot of my drinking stories come from my uni days, but for a large chunk of my uni life, I didn't actually drink. I knew how distracting and disruptive it could be to my studies, and so I had actually avoided it and stayed off the terps for a good couple of years.
Just quickly, so
And
where did
I
you go
was
to uni? Was that up in North Queensland?
up
Or?
in North Queensland. Yeah, up in North Queensland. Yep,
Chinese or whatever.
up in Cairns, JCU, up there, James Cook, and woo. And so for quite a while, I'd be the DD, and often the sober one of the night, the one who'd remember everything and be the thing. It was rough. A lot of the clubs up there wouldn't believe that somebody would actually be sober, and I was not allowed in. I would be bounced from clubs way more often than any of my friends who were staggeringly drunk. And yeah, it was just because I guess they assumed that somebody who was stone cold sober was on something else. And so, yeah.
Or you're just not spending money, so they're like, get them out of here.
Or that too. And so, yeah, towards the latter half of my last year, I dropped that and moved.
You grew up.
Grew up or grew down, however you want to look at it. And yeah, we'd have these fantastic nights out in Cairns. There would be the Friday nights would be this tour that you could do around the city. It was all walking distance, all easy to go. You'd start at one of the corner pubs that have their happy hour. They're 2 for the price of 1 on anything in the bar. I'm talking anything, pints, top shelf, whatever it was, 2 for the price of 1. That's what they do to start your night out. And we would have a table just covered in pints of Bundy Cola, basically, because this used to come on tap up there. Pints of this. It just covered the table because you were limited to 4, because that's basically what you could carry.
Yeah. And, I don't want to be silly. Just 4 pints.
And yeah. And so we'd load up the table, slam all those back, move on to one of the next bars, end up at around about 9 or 10 o'clock at a bar called Sporties. Sporties was seedy as all hell, and this was pretty much the only moment it was popular for its hour of power. If you're a university student, $5 at the door gets you a stamp, open bar, beer and basics for an hour. 1 drink, and they were definitely watering down the spirits, and it was cheap beer. But uni students will take whatever we can get. You would spend your entire time just in the queue.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Were they? Because a lot of those ones they just take ages at the bar, but would they actually pump you through quickly, or like?
There was 1 or 2, and you'd see all the newbies go down and look at the flashy guy doing all the tricks, and he's actually slowing things down. But there was this amazing bartender. She could have like 10 people, bang bang, what's a drink, do all the combos, put the drinks back up. A whole line would go and stand at the back and work your way through. You drink it, put your drink down, get the same again. There were some rough nights. There were there were nights you'd absolutely end up throwing up most of what you'd drunk, and we even for a while had a Friday night fight night happening, and all sorts of just. It was horribly bogan. The woolshed was referred to variously as like, what was the line? Was something, if you can't pick up here, you can't pick up anywhere in Australia. I was drunk there one night and apparently danced with a star from Neighbours on one of the tables. But I don't know who her name was, and wasn't one watching Neighbours at the time. But I was told afterwards that, were you talking with her? Did you know her? And I was, no idea who that was. Just up on one of the tables dancing.
Maybe it was it Madge? Was Madge Neighbours? Or was that Home and Away?
I think it's Neighbours, but no, it was that era. It was that era where most of the female members of Neighbours were going into music, into pop. Yeah, okay. It was one of the. I don't know. Post Kylie and Scott.
Definitely Kylie Minogue. Yeah. So, did you hear that? There it is, last drinks bell. So give us your story, give us your facts. Yeah, there it is again, yeah. Give us something good to go out with that we can remember Scott Davis by. Scott Davis without an E, which is spelled incorrectly, but let's not dwell on that. Give us your story.
I'd probably, a spectacular night. I lived in London for a little while and worked in a bar, and had, back in London, a few of my friends are probably just taking a drink now. Yeah. And you'd think the worst nights I've ever had would have been on the old Bundy, but it was vodka and Red Bull for me. That's my drink I can't drink anymore, because I'd been working all day, a shift in the bar or whatever it was, and my friends had already started drinking for the night. Back then, the bars, or most of the bars, would close at 11, and there'd be certain bars that have a late night license. So we closed up. My bar, my friends who'd been drinking already said, come on, we'll go down to one of the late night places. And for whatever reason, it was a country night. They were playing country music at this bar. It wasn't something we used to go for, but I get in there and go, well,
my favourite music's on in the pub we're going to.
So I got in there and thought, well, I'm going to have to, I was tired, wasn't really in the mood. And somebody else in the group was drinking vodka Red Bulls. And so I said, I'll have the same. I'm going to need some energy to get going tonight. That person was a slow drinker. And when the next round came through, she ended up with a spare vodka Red Bull. I finished my second one, grabbed her spare one, had that one as well. And that's basically how the night went. I was doubling on, every couple of rounds or something like that. And got there really fast. Me and another Australian friend apparently spent about an hour singing the lyrics to Cotton Eye Joe to every song that played, even though it wasn't Cotton Eye Joe. We thought it was funny. Not many other people did.
Imagine thinking back. Do you ever think back to those nights out when you were drunk and you were like, oh, we were so funny, and then you see someone else doing something you were doing and you're like, what a fucking wanker. Was yesterday.
Yeah, it would have been absolutely horrible to be there with us. All of that went from too tired to go to throwing up in the gutter in 3.5 hours. That's all it took, basically. Yeah, it was 3.5 hours because that bar only went through till 2 or something like that in the morning, and I'd finished up at 11:30 or 12, and so it was only 2 or 3. So it can only have been 2 or 3 hours that I went from too tired to function to throwing up in the gutter drunk. And the last memory I have of that night is waiting for one of our other friends to come and let us in where we lived above the pub where I worked, because I couldn't work the keys. And
Scott's last fact is don't drink vodka Red Bull.
Don't drink vodka Red Bull. I suspect it was probably more the Red Bull that did me in that night than the vodka. But
don't have 10 pints of it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, Scott. That is the end of the chat. So just quickly, it was nice Bundaberg Rum. You know what, mate? Let's have one sip. It's not bad. I wouldn't buy it or choose to drink it. But next time at your house when there's cans of it floating around, I will steal some. So I guess that's a good little outcome for everyone.
That's something.
Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Tune in next week for our next episode. And thank you very much, Scott, for joining us. See you, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, Owen. Cheers.
Yeah, this is it. And scene.